The apartment is the named SMG you must have in this game, and if you want to delete elites with it, then this build is for you. The other builds out there for the apartment are what you would expect. This build is not. This build is an off-meta, close-quarter combat that has everything you could hope for. It's tanky with almost 400,000 armor on kill. It has protection from elites and the burst damage all run and gunners dream of. This is a max amplified damage build that has the apartment clearing over 1.1 million in damage. I'm going to show you how to put it together. We're starting right now. I hope you all picked up the apartment from the vendor last week because it is awesome and this build makes it awesomer. If you didn't, there's still hope. This is a Dark Zone exclusive weapon, but you can take advantage of season events to farm named item caches and get Dark Zone exclusive gear without going to the DZ. Watch this video next to learn more. I'll drop links below for you. You can probably tell I'm running Hunter's Fury with this setup, but it's not what you think. A couple videos back, I put out this off-meta SMG build. It uses the M1928 to crit over 2.8 million in damage, which is insane. So check it out. I'll drop links here and in the description area below. Well, in that video, I mentioned how Hunter's Fury doesn't support crits as much as other builds do, including the Negotiator's Dilemma gear set. For SMGs, this isn't a huge problem because they come with a lot of crit chance already, and that leaves most of the attribute slots remaining for crit damage. However, Hunter's Fury does cap our crit damage potential when we use that gear set. Hunter's Fury does provide a ton of amplified damage, and if you're anything like me, then at some point you have probably wondered whether you're getting more out of the amplified damage than you are your crits when running Hunter's Fury. Of course, crits on top of amplified damage is nice, but what if you maxed out the amplified damage on a Hunter's Fury build? Would you have a desirable time to kill? Enough to give the flexibility to add even more survivability? I found the answers to those questions to be yes.
So anyways, let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
I created this build especially for the apartment named SMG, one of my favorite weapons in the game. It has perfect measured on it, which is actually one of my favorite talents as well. It is deceptively awesome. The talent gives the top half of the magazine a 20% improved rate of fire and negative 27% weapon damage. The weapon has a high base weapon damage, so that isn't that bad actually. The bottom half is 20% slower, but has 33% more weapon damage. And I'll be honest, most enemies don't see the bottom of the mag. You can delete multiple elites with a single mag, and non-elites, they don't even have a chance. So the build I'm about to walk you through synergizes with this weapon talent nicely because it's playing on extreme burst damage, pushing as many amplified damage bullets into the enemy in the shortest amount of time possible. The mask is the first of our 4-piece Hunter's Fury. I have a weapon damage core, crit damage, and a protection from elites mod. I'll discuss the mod in a moment. The gear set is giving us 15% weapon damage to both our equipped weapons, 20% armor on kill, and the talent Apex Predator. This Apex Predator gives us a quick 20% amplified damage and stacks kills to give us another 25% amplified damage, totaling 45% amplified damage. The other perk is the status effect on kill, which buys us reloading time. That's the difference between life and death in many cases. The gloves are my second piece of Hunter's Fury, and I have weapon damage and crit damage on them. The knee pads also have weapon damage and crit damage. The holster has crit chance, and I rolled max armor here. I have 1.3 million total armor on this build. Most of the time I land at 1.1 million armor, but this build is so powerful it gave me the chance to play up my survivability. You see, I want to go fast with this build, and you need to. The faster you go, the more out of the buffs you can take advantage of. and I'm running the shield, but I actually don't prefer it because it slows me down. So when I use it, I like to mostly pop it out and pop it in as fast as possible if I can. From there, I want to run, zag, and dive from point to point. I chose to have 1.3 million armor so that I can have a beefier armor on kill. I anticipate that. You see, I'm so confident that the DPS on this build, I allow myself to take damage. That's okay. On approach, because I know I will kill even a group of elite NPCs and get all my armor back instantly. We've discussed this in the past. Time to kill is survivability, and I am playing to that with armor on kill. And this is just one way you can play into it. Build to kill, kill to live. You don't want to use the Hunter's Fury chest or backpack pieces with this build. You need those slots open to make this setup. The backpack is Bellstone, which gives us 1% armor regen. I have max crits and another protection from Elite's mod. Now this talent versatile is not new, but it's certainly special. And the way we are using it and have the whole build set up for it is perfect. Again, we're after max amplified damage, right? Well, this talent is giving us 35% amplified damage when we swap between our SMG and our shotgun. The amplified damage lasts for 10 seconds, which is a very long time in this game. I usually get at least 3 kills with each rotation, and when we combine this amplified damage with what we're getting from Hunter's Fury, we are getting 80% total amplified damage. That's insane, and we're not done. We're gonna have more. But this has to be the strongest backpack talent in the game for DPS builds. Sure, it's limited to close range, but beats out the other chest backpack combos you can have out there, like Adrenaline Rush and Intimidate. However, I don't see a lot of agents using this talent to its full potential. I'm using this black market SASG 12 shotgun to pair up with the apartment. I chose damage to targets out of cover and Optimus. This talent gives us 3% more weapon damage for every 10% ammo missing from the mag. So 30% weapon damage. And I must say, this thing is a showstopper. And with the amplified damage you get, I have trouble deciding which of the two weapons I prefer. This thing alone is a beast. You feel like you're beating them down with a damn sledgehammer. So here's the thing with versatile. A lot of weapon talents are disrupted when you swap weapons. For example, the Dark Winter has perfect killer on it, which gives you a ton of crit damage on kill. Now when you get the kill, you get that bump. If you switch to the shotgun while that perk is active, you lose it. And if you don't switch, you lose out on 35% amplified damage, which will time out on you. And the 35% amplified damage will give you more total damage output. Why more? Well, you can have 35% amplified damage at 100% of your hits, or 50% crit damage on 60% of your hits. The point I'm making is think about the talents your guns are using. You want to go with talents that give you the buffs progressively and not on kill. You want whatever buff the weapon is giving you to stack up on top of the versatile amplified damage. And that's why Optimus and the perfectly measured talent are perfect for this setup. You can switch weapons and get the modifiers on top of the gear perk. Here is where the big surprise comes in. I am wearing my second piece of Bellstone for my chest piece, which is giving me another 10% armor on kill. That pushes us up to 30% total armor on kill and 1.3 million armor. For the talent, I have Glass Cannon for an additional 25% amplified damage. What? Did you just take a step back? Well, come forward because the build has an answer for the downside this talent gives. I do add that any build with Glass Cannon may not be the best build for a newbie. A lot of situational awareness is required for Glass Cannon builds, and knowing enemy archetypes, spawn points, and your own limits only comes from experience. The 25% amplified damage from this chest piece brings our total amplified damage to 105%. That is a lot. That is max amplified damage on the gear you can get. The only way you can get more amplified damage on this setup is by replacing the apartment with the Lady Death exotic SMG. This will give you another 75% amplified damage. I tried that to see what comes out of it, and I can say not much. You barely get more damage out of that SMG compared to the apartment, because the apartment has a larger base weapon damage. You need the base damage to amplify, and the base damage on the Lady Death is low enough to have these weapons hitting about the same. Another reason you don't want to run the exotic is because it has quite a bit smaller mag size, and since it's not putting out more damage, this will hurt the build. Lastly, you only get the amplified damage stacks on the Lady Death when the weapon is active and you're moving about. And by the time you get your stacks up, most if not all of Versatile will have timed out. So the apartment is the way to go and gets you the same damage output or more than the Lady Death. Back to Glass Cannon. The chest talent and Versatile equals more damage than Intimidate and Adrenaline Rush together. You don't see it on close-up builds because at this range, we take damage often, and 50% amplified inbound damage is a lot, that's true, but this build has an answer. Obviously, time to kill is one of them. 105% amplified weapon damage starting from bullet 1. That amplifies upwardly as each round exits the mag thanks to the weapon talents on both guns. So, with that kind of DPS, we can kill fast enough to not take a lot of incoming damage. To be fair, this benefit payout depends on your playstyle. You must always look to get the jump on the enemy. It's a good idea to know your spawn points and stay close to them so you can get them, the enemy, before they even get out the door. Don't let them flank, and remember, reload and cover when you can. Never run in straight lines, zag, and circle the enemy. Basically always be moving. This is how I play this build, and speed and awareness are what keep me alive, not the shield. If you rely on the shield too much, it will get you killed. That's because 5 enemies in front of you will shred a shield. Shred them before they damage your shield too much and you'll be alright. If you try to walk around with the shield, it won't be there when you need it, I promise. It's going to slow you down and attract more bullets. Here are a few pointers for when you get yourself in a street fight. Isolate your target and put him between him and his homies. Using him as a human shield helps decrease the damage you're getting from the others. In reload, run in wide circles, then cutting quick for the kill. The armor on kill, along with the fast time to kill, is the other way we marginalize Glass Cannon's downside. I'm okay with taking some damage, amplified or not, because I am confident my DPS is strong, and when I kill the enemy, I will have my armor back in no time. The status effect on Hunter's Fury synergizes nicely with Glass Cannon. High risk, high reward, right? When we kill, the enemies are disrupted. That means reload or weapon swap time. Or kill another for back-to-back status effects. Get the cadence right and they won't get a single shot off on you. Lastly, protection from elites. Of course, elites are more dodgier and tankier. They also are the hardest hitting enemies in the game, and protection from elites just gives you more of an edge when facing multiple elites at the same time. It's great for 1v1, obviously, but a group of elites take multiple mags and they won't be stunned as long by the status effects. Protection from elites also helps when crossing no man's land out of cover on approach to the enemy's den. All of this combined is why this build works so well. If you're not there yet, or just don't like the high risk reward system, then Gunslinger is your best next bet. It gives you 20% damage for 5 seconds when you swap weapons. That's burst damage too. It's not amplified, but at least it's front loaded. I do recommend that talent, surely, but this build came out to hit so hard, it all works. You see, at the start I had less armor and more crit damage on this build. I was killing the enemies so fast and hard, I backed it out and built in more defense. Some of this was needed to help with getting shot in the back or from range, since I'm out of cover a lot. Surely that is annoying, and I found the defense I added was enough to keep me from being annoyed. Feel free to play around with it, but I would start with this setup first, then go from there as you please. I am having a lot of fun with this build, and you will too. As you can see from the stats, we have low crit damage, and we're pulling off 1.1 million damage numbers. The shotgun, it relies on weapon damage growth from Optimus and the amplifiers. Defensively, everything you need is there. Buffed armor, armor on kill, armor regen, protection from elites, and of course, you have the skill heals as a bonus. The specialization comes down to preference. Survivalist gives you 10% more protection from elites, fire grenades, which I love, and more. Gunner gives you 10% more armor on kill and ammo regen, as well as reload and weapon RPM buffs. Firewall gives you the striker shield and 11 to 13% more weapon damage per enemy in front of you. If you want more defense, I suggest going with Survivalist for that 10% more protection from elites. You have enough armor on kill. If you're looking for more power, then the Firewall option might be the best because that shield is going to give you a lot more damage output. Firewall might actually be the best way to go, but as I was running it, it was still tough to call because the enemies just simply die too fast, which means I wasn't maximizing the damage output of the build. That aside, but what's incredible is the damage per enemy in front of the shield. That damage bonus is going to be amplified by 105%. So we'd scale with the level of threat. And that's what I like to see on a build. It's huge. Either way, you need to have an answer for being in the open and crossing the terrain during battle. Enemies can spread out and you need to get in close. Don't overlook that or you will be disappointed in the outcome. This build is mostly for heroic solo or group. Either way, you get the clears you're looking for. I did run this in legendary just to see how it does. It's okay. I don't really recommend it for legendary though. You have to get in quite close with SMGs and that means you can easily get overrun. Not just because it has a glass cannon. You have to carefully build a Hunter's Fury build for legendary in my opinion. Or play very, very aggressive for it to pan out as intended. People do it, no doubt. If you're looking for a really OP build for legendary, then try this Max Blind 2.0 build I just put out. It is so strong you can even solo legendary stronghold with it. And I think it's the only CC build that actually can. More importantly, it is really fun to use and your squad will thank you for it. Tuxedo out.